Now to those devastating earthquakes in the Middle East. More than 11,000 people in Turkey and Syria are now dead. As the search for survivors continues today, amid all the heartbreak, there are some incredible rescue stories, including this video from Syria of a newborn baby being pulled from the rubble, its umbilical cord still attached. Rescuers say it appears the baby girl's mother gave birth to her while buried under a collapsed building. The mother, though, did not survive. Rescuers heard the infant crying and managed to pull the baby out. She's now at the hospital and her condition is stable.
Correspondent Trent Murray is live in Turkey right now with the latest for us. Trent, what are you seeing there on the ground in terms of both the devastation and the rescue efforts that are going into helping people that are just stranded at this point?
Yeah, good morning, Lindsay. I mean, it is really just a race against the clock now for first responders and rescuers in cities like this one. I'm in a place called Malatya. It was one of the worst hit cities in the region. And what you are seeing is just those search and rescue crews desperately going through buildings, trying to find any more survivors. Let me just slightly step out of frame, if I could, for a minute to give you a look. I know it's hard to tell right now, but that was an 8-story apartment building that collapsed after the first earthquake hit in the early hours of Monday morning. Now, very sadly, we understand that 80 people lived in there with the residents of that apartment building. 50 have already been pulled out. They died in the initial quake, but the search is still continuing for those final 30. Now, I've been here for around 7 or 8 hours now. We've not seen any survivors pulled from the rubble. Just before I arrived, a woman was able to be taken out, but then she succumbed to her injuries at the hospital. But people here are not giving up hope. They are still searching. About an hour ago, we saw a very shaken up small furry white cat which was pulled from the concrete. That gave some people some hope here, but of course the search does continue for folks which are waiting here, trying to see if any of their loved ones can still be found alive in that destruction.
Awful there. Well, Trent, Turkey's president is visiting the disaster zone today. There's been some criticism about a slow response from the government. What have you seen in terms of a humanitarian response, and what are the urgent needs for survivors right now?
Yeah, that's right. President Erdogan visiting the city of Maraş, which is about a 3-hour drive from here, and he was met with some anger from people who say the government has been too slow to respond to some of this. Now, he did acknowledge that in those opening days of the quake that the rescue efforts could have been faster, but he did say things are very much now back to normal. We did have some pretty severe weather, in fairness, with snowstorms and blizzards hitting some of the regions that were hit during the earthquake. That, of course, did not help things, but what we are just seeing now is a huge humanitarian issue and disaster that we really have. When you speak to folks here, Jay, they'll really tell you one of 3 things. Number 1, they've lost their home. Number 2, their home is too damaged to return to. Or number 3, they don't want to go home because they're too scared of being inside with all of these aftershocks which are still hitting. So still very much a search and rescue operation, but of course some of those questions now also being asked about the way first responders came in those opening few hours.
All right, correspondent Trent Murray reporting for us in Turkey. Thanks, Trent.